it, but you're a little foolish because if you're posting porn, why wouldn't you think somebody is going to DM you? I get what you're saying, where you're trying to say, hey, this is a business, but what do you expect? People are gonna, if you're posting porn, because subconsciously people think you easy and people think you'll do anything because in most cases, especially if you're a dude do OnlyFans, they probably think, oh, this dude will do anything. So you have women, you'll have anybody hit you up. And then you saying, don't DM me unless you're talking money. You bought your money. I'll give you that. But what if you are a content creator, right? Hypothetically, you're a heterosexual male. And a gay male DMs you and says, hey, I'm trying to see something. Here's a band.
I've had that happen.
So you do OnlyFans. This is joke. This is joke. You telling the world you do OnlyFans. All right, y'all. What's going on? It is your boy Easy Bake Oven. What's up, y'all? So today it's a little different. All right. Now, yeah, I used to hear ads run through my stuff for other people. All right. This is probably the first real time the ad is for me. All right. So P.S.A. Prodigy Sport Advantage Stations has expanded far beyond just the podcast. It is now a writing service. All right. And at that, a ghostwriting service. So we do it anonymously and take care of your needs. All right. Homework assistant, product and profile descriptions, grant writing, resumes, cover letters, templates, books, ghostwriter book too. Anything you can think of, articles, all that good stuff. PSA, the Ghostwriter Solution, can do it. So go over to PSAthepodcast.com and you can see all the services there with all their descriptions. Okay, because I know I missed some. And also you can reach out to me at theprodigyperspective@gmail.com and we can take care of all of that for you too. Peace. Lame, I know. But what's up, y'all? Guess what? We have made it. The final episode of season 7. And it's been a long road. We had some hiccups here and there. Some things I didn't expect to happen, but they did. And that's life, right? It is what it is. You can't do anything about that. I'm just thankful to be where I'm at. And it's been a great season. A lot of good views, things happen I didn't expect, but it's all works together for the good in the end. And so I'm pretty happy about that. And this is also second part of the As a Man series, which first one did pretty good. And I'm interested to see how this one is going to do. I don't know if I'm going to be going on tours discussing this conversation because I do know I'm probably going to ruffle some feathers. We'll see what happens. But, I'm all for just healthy conversation. So, as we know, last week the meme started with "As a Man." This series goes off of the "As a Man." Why are we doing this? And taking kind of what women said and kind of spinning it, right? Some things I do agree with, but it is what it is. I thought once after the new year I was gonna be a new me. No, new year, worse me. All right, so now let's get into this week's meme. As a man, why do you have an OnlyFans account? Inspiration comes from OnlyFans accounts and the attack on women only, and just seeing how women are dragged for having OnlyFans accounts. But it's like I never heard of men being attacked for it either. A sassy clapback that I saw on Twitter from an OnlyFans guy who I think a dude had said something about OnlyFans, and the dude was like, "I probably made more than your whole family off one video," and I was just like, That wasn't good. You shouldn't have kept it to yourself. Granted, I get it was a flex, but that don't look good coming from no dude. Y'all tell me whether or not you think I'm tripping when I say that. Also, Deuteronomy 28:12 that says the Lord will open to you his good treasure, the heavens, to give you rain in your land in its season and bless all the work of your hand. You shall lend to many nations, but you shall not borrow. So keep that in mind because you're probably thinking, how does this correlate? And I'll definitely get into that as we go along. Trust me. All right, y'all, let's move into the segment for today, which y'all favorite, and the last one of the season, Happy Hour. Now, in today's Happy Hour, which kind of ties into today's topic, I'm talking about alternative lifestyles. So in today's world, we could be here all day talking about alternative lifestyles, trust me. But two that stand out the most, especially when we talk about this OnlyFans world, because it's a new twist to sex work. Okay, it is. It's sex work. Okay, you're a sex worker if you're OnlyFanser. Okay, if you have an OnlyFans account and you are active on your OnlyFans, you are a sex worker. That's it. But alternative lifestyles, I think about veganism and how people are super creative, right? And like I said, creativity can be either really good or really bad. And like I know vegan people, they have meals, and I eat vegan food from time to time. It's not bad. It's actually decent if done right. It's one of them things where it's like, you know how it's like you eat something like, oh, that was good for vegan, or that was good for this. And then sometimes you eat something and it'd be like, oh no, that was just good. It don't matter if it was vegan or not, it was just good. And so there's that. But I also think about now they have alternative lifestyles for alcohol. So we always knew like you could do mocktails, but now they gotten even more fancier now. So this is called Ritual. And they have different flavors. They have a tequila alternative. This is this. They have a rum alternative. They have a whiskey and vodka alternative. And I've tried the gin one. I haven't tried the tequila one yet. I'm going to try it at the end of the episode to celebrate. Um, but it is it's but the gin one was good, and it's not alcohol, and it's for those people who say, they don't want to drink no more, whether they, want to give up alcohol for whatever reason, or me as I'm transitioning out of alcohol, I think this is a good, replacement. You know what I mean? Because I just feel like everybody is not going to drink forever. Some people want to still celebrate, but they don't want to celebrate with a lemonade. You know what I mean? And they don't want to. And then it's kind of the same thing as doing a sparkling grape juice. I've seen people try to argue like if you drinking less, it's the same thing. You trying to be too much like everybody else. But what's the difference between putting sparkling grape juice in a champagne glass? You know what I'm saying? In a flute, it's the same concept. It's just they got the wine version and now they got the fake liquor. So now I'm not saying drinking and pretend you drunk. But also it's for pregnant people. You pregnant, you ain't got you got kids on the way. You want to still have that taste and not, give your baby any diseases or any, disorders. There you go. So that's something to keep in mind. But also, I just want to say that sometimes alternative lifestyles aren't bad because we live in a society where drinking culture is definitely a thing, brunch culture, all that stuff. And it's like, say for instance, you just don't want to drink today. And people are, oh, now I'm not saying giving their peer pressure, let people bully you and you fake it. But some days you might want to just look like you part of the mix and you're like, oh, I got my, so keep that in mind moving forward as we are, talking about alternative lifestyles and things of the sort. Now, last week I was solo, and originally this episode was supposed to be a solo episode. But just based off the conversation I had a few weeks ago on my Mental Man Mondays and just a live stream had after the camera went down, I was like, I think I want to discuss this with somebody. And this person also has never been on my podcast. We've been discussing getting him on here since 2019. So let me introduce my boy. He will welcome him back. He was here a few weeks ago and go from there. Phenom, what's going on?
Yo, it's really been since 2019 since we've known each other.
Yep, I remember because that was on my DM tour, and I was in everybody's DM trying to plug my podcast. And some people, I still talk to. You one of them. Some I don't. Not on no bad stuff. We just don't talk.
Yeah.
And threw it against the wall. Some people stuck, some didn't. It
Yo,
works. It
DM
is.
tour is hilarious. That's
I'm for real.
funny. Then we ended up meeting for the first time in what was it, 2021?
Or end of 2020, one of them.
Yeah,
It
one of
might have
them.
been 2021.
Good old Waffle House.
You talking about some? I love Waffle House. But I'll see already. We didn't even talk about the
Oh
stuff yet.
man.
We already laughing. So before we get too deep, can you go ahead and
Mhm.
introduce yourself to the people? Tell them what's your name, where you from, and where you live.
What's up, everybody? I go by the name Phenom. I am from Durham, North Carolina. I'm currently living in Raleigh, North Carolina. Yeah, North Carolina native, but I'm not a country boy. I tell you that.
Okay. Now tell the people what it is that you do.
My day job, quote unquote, I'm a college instructor. After hours, I'm a person that's helping content creators of all sorts just get out of imposter syndrome, overthinking, and perfectionism so they can let their craft see the world. That's what I do.
Okay. So before we get into that in my questions, because I didn't plan on that question, but I'm gonna ask. Since you help people get out of imposter syndrome, and we're talking about OnlyFans, specifically men, we letting the women take a break because they get enough hell for they OnlyFans accounts from everybody else. So women, y'all just sit back and relax, kick your feet up if you're watching. But do you feel as though people who create OnlyFans, not all, but maybe some of them maybe have some form of imposter syndrome in some way?
Do they have it? No, I don't think so. I think
Okay.
you have to have a high level of confidence to be able to start an account like that, a membership site like that. Not even just an account, I would say a membership site.
Okay. All right. All right. So now you have a diverse background in media, broadcast, storytelling, and as a life coach. How do you see these skills intersecting with mental health advocacy?
Performing under high stress,
Okay.
for sure. Um, Working in media and just working with just people on a daily basis, helping them with their performance, whether it's in the classroom or outside the classroom, there's a certain level of achievement that you want to have for everybody. And sometimes that can become stressful because you want to make sure that people are getting the results that they desire. And also just trying to juggle all of that at the same time.
Okay. Okay. And do you feel that that's the same, even especially young among young male influencers?
Um, yes, I think it can be. I think there's a lot of. I think on any influencer in general, there's a lot of pressure because there's almost a performative act for some of them. I'm not going to say everybody that you want to have this image for everybody that you feel as if that you have to uphold. And that's kind of where, and being an imposter for some people can come into place when you're not living your authentic life. And
Yeah.
when you start to be more confident in yourself, all of that starts to go away.
For sure, for sure. The thing I think about it is I say yes and I say no. I say no because imposter syndrome is when you're scared to do something. But I say yes because maybe you're doing this because which the episode in which the net conversation I'm pushing towards with this today is I believe that if you can sit up and create content and cut up them videos, you clearly like being on camera, especially if you like doing intimate things on camera. So my logic is, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I just believe that in some way, shape, or form, you're a content creator. And even if you don't realize that you may be doing it from the, the porn world or the porn aspect, but you're a content creator, whether you realize it or not. And I want people to realize that today. And if you don't get nothing else across, like I said, this is not to attack you, although there will be some points that you may feel offended by if you are in that world and in that light and you doing these things. But the thing I want people to understand is anything is possible. And how am I say this? I just believe that you don't have to settle, if that makes sense. And sometimes I feel like these people are just kind of like settling in a sense. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself. So now, okay, I'm finna. How I want to say this? Hmm. Life is crazy, ain't it? Now, also, I want to throw in here too. I am not sponsored by Ritual, but if Ritual wants to sponsor me, y'all can. I guess I'm gonna taste it at the end of the episode. I am giving them free promo, but and see, look, even on the back it says for when you're driving, dieting. You can't see it. It says when you're driving, dieting, training, making a baby, taking a break, studying up late, getting up early, or just have stuff to do. So keep that in mind. All right, now I'm gonna ask you a few words, and I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to mind. There's no right or wrong answer. Are you ready?
Yeah, before you ask those questions, speaking of media and stress, if you're watching this, you don't see me pop in and out like 5 different times. That's one thing I will say that I have had to learn within like just working in media. I'm pretty sure you've even dealt with this as somebody that has a show that you just have to roll with the punches and you just got to figure it out on the fly. For anybody listening to this, my camera stopped working and you just saw me smiling with like two teeth showing the entire time. And some for some people that can be extremely stressful, but you handled it so well with such composure. So I just want to give kudos and give your flowers to you for that because I know some people would have gone crazy, and we're going to keep rolling with it.
Oh yeah, I'm good at thinking on the fly. That's why I'd be a great host at the BET Awards. All right. So words that come to mind. So when you hear the word man, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Provider.
When you hear the word content creator, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Mm, genuine.
When you hear the word salesman, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Help.
And finally, when you hear OnlyFans, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Money.
Okay. Went ahead and defined all these words. So man is defined as an adult male human being. Content creator, anyone who shares information, inspiration, humor, experiences, or advice with a larger audience through content, usually digital. Salesman, a man whose job involves selling or promoting commercial products either in a store or visiting locations to get orders. And then OnlyFans, subscription site that enables content creators to monetize their influence according to the site itself. Okay, so pretty straightforward. We pretty much knew that, but you know. All right, so now let's get into the next segment, which is what does this have to do with mental health? All right. So, given your extensive experience in storytelling, understanding audience engagement, which you do so well at, what are some thoughts on platforms like OnlyFans? What are your personal thoughts, first of all? No right or wrong answer. And then I want you to tell me how do you think they may affect the mental health of content creators?
Mental health content queries for a second. What was the first one again?
How do you feel about the platform in itself, just in general?
The platform in itself, if there's a market and there's people willing to pay, I always say why not? And people are able to capitalize on that. They are maybe they're being able to put themselves in positions that they may not be able to do in other ways. So if somebody's able to capitalize on the platform, go for it. That's kind of my view on it.
Okay. How do you think it affects the mental health of those same content creators?
Whew. That's a good question, really. I know a couple people that actually have OnlyFans, and I don't ever really hear them talking about like anything negative about it. They go on there, they put on a show, they make their money and leave. Um, the conversations that I've kind of had with people is more so it is the virtual version of going to a strip club in a way. And so if a person is fine with going to a strip club, then I don't know how you cannot be fine with somebody having like an OnlyFans account because it's the same thing, but just it's virtual. So yeah, I don't really see much people of having within my circle and people I've spoken to are seeing the internet having much many mental challenges from it.
Are those people men or women?
They are women. I don't think I know any men that have an OnlyFans account, to my knowledge.
Okay. Maybe they on there with the mask on. All right, so let's get into some mental health parts of this, and I'm gonna give my take on it. So the first one says user demographics and reasons for subscription. It says according to Psychology Today, the majority of OnlyFans subscribers are not lonely, single men, but predominantly married. Men from diverse backgrounds subscribe to OnlyFans for various reasons, including desire to support their favorite creators, not solely for sexual content. The second one says loneliness and relationship dynamics. According to Psychology Today, again, some experts hypothesize that loneliness and a decline in social connections, partially attributed to social media and pornography, might be influencing men's engagement with platforms like OnlyFans. However, studies show that many subscribers are in romantic and or sexual relationships. OnlyFans use might be more about satisfying fantasies or desires, explore new experiences, and relieving boredom rather than solely stemming from loneliness. And then the third one says potential psychological impacts. Psychology Today again says while pornography addiction is not considered a valid psychiatric diagnosis, problematic use of such content has been linked to issues like religious upbringing and sexual shame. Similarly, OnlyFans content is not universally harmful, but secretive use in relationships can lead to issues like secrecy, disillusionment, and distrust. The platform's use, when consensual within relationships, may enhance intimacy and sexual exploration. Now, so that's just a few tips. We have some more tips about how it relates to mental health in a minute. But what I'm gonna say is, when you think of somebody on OnlyFans, you just like a viewer, and you think of like some old creep. Most cases, let's give the stereotype. You think of like some old white man who got a big beard and he big and fat and live in a basement, and he like, you know, foaming at the mouth, salivating at the mouth. But in reality, it be regular people. And you know when people know they ain't doing something when they create fake accounts to go through these things. And I think we've all done it before, especially with porn. And this ain't the porn episode. I'm gonna say that for the porn expert. But some people say, well, that's because we're shamed and we should be sexually liberated. But I challenge that, because my logic and my view, and please correct me, it when you're doing all these fantasies and things, you'll never really be satisfied. And I think that you keep spending more money to fill a void that'll never be filled. And I think that's where the OnlyFans comes in, because it then pushes this narrative of like, oh, I'm gonna fulfill your fantasy, but you can't, because, and like I said, I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna move to the next part, because again, this ain't the porn episode. But look at it like this: with them videos and things, you can't touch them people. So you're essentially falling in love with a fantasy. Keep that in mind. And that's where people go wrong, because you're gonna keep trying to fulfill that. It's like crack. You're gonna keep trying to fulfill that fantasy and you're never gonna get it. It just is what it is. Now, before we move on, let's ask you another question. So, from experience in sports and broadcasting, how do you view the mental health challenges um, unique to these industries, and what advice would you give to young professionals navigating these pressures? Because you did sports broadcasting and all that good stuff. So, yeah.
The mental challenges around broadcasting is and just like the media, I would say the media industry in general, is that you have to not lose yourself in the industry. But I don't mean that in the way where a lot of people hear, like, let's just say the music industry, like, oh, don't lose yourself in the music industry. It's a different kind of lose yourself. I mean that in the way of you will work a lot of hours. Like, you have to. This is the first year that I have not worked holidays in maybe about 12 years, because I'm finally like taking ownership of my life and my schedule more. And I missed a lot of birthdays. Missed a lot of graduations, a lot of life like milestone events for people, because I worked in the media, because there are no days off. The TV, the media is operating 24/7. So
Yeah.
it's really easy for people to work 10, 12-hour days. At one point, I was working 16-hour days, and I was putting myself in the dirt. I wasn't communicating with people. I wasn't having like good, genuine relationships with people. And that's what I mean by I was losing myself. I was losing my friends. I was losing, the couple of family members that I spoke to. I was literally losing myself. So if you're looking to get into the media industry, like, just, keep in mind, don't lose yourself. Make sure you always remind yourself what your worth is, because it can be easily forgotten if you're working 12-hour days and then you're immediately going home and going to sleep. So those were some of the mental challenges. Just like just staying true to yourself, and uh, making sure that I fostered the relationships that I had in my life. That was hard, because I always felt like I was letting people down.
So you made a comment talking about, I want to piggyback off that and kind of unpack that a little bit. You made a comment talking about some staying true to yourself. So
Mhm.
just your opinion, do you feel as though people who do OnlyFans, do you really feel like they're being true to themselves, or do you feel as though, what do you think that's rooted in? This is your opinion. There's nothing wrong. You might not think nothing wrong with it.
um, I think it all really depends. So there are some people that are that are very free, like they love showing off their body. Like as soon as it gets to be, let's just say 40 to 50 degrees outside, they're wearing less clothes because they're just that confident in their body and they love showing it off. And so they're like, oh, well, you know, if I can show off my body even more with less clothes and the body that I'm confident in, you know, whether it's a man or a woman, uh, and they realize they can monetize that, why not? Then I think on the other side of the spectrum, you may have people that are starting accounts like that that realize or have been told that they can make an account to be able to make money. And then those are probably the people that are making like the faceless accounts or anything like that. Um, and those may be the people that you see that they don't feel as confident in the work, or they may feel as if like they're losing themselves, like they're just doing it for a check. Um, and yeah, I would say those that second half may be that type of person that you see that may be losing themselves because they're just doing it for some money. And then, as we know, like let's just be honest, men are disgusting. So like the comments that they may say to somebody, um, and especially women, can be very degrading. So if they're already that not that confident in themselves, and then they're getting a certain type of comments to them, it can only make situations a little bit worse than they already are.
Okay. Now, so according to Psychology Today, United Kingdom, the impact of creating content on OnlyFans on young men's mental health can be summarized in three takeaways. It says harsher consequences, as you said, for female creators. While this point focuses on female creators, highlights the overall negative societal perception towards those engaged in sex work, including harassment and dehumanization. This environment can contribute to a complex and challenging atmosphere for all content creators. It says linked to mental health issues. It said creating sexually explicit materials categorized as sex work. So you have the statistics. So you can't say I'm not a sex worker. Yes, you are. And the thing is, my thing is, like I said all the time, own it. I said before about Sexy Red. Sexy Red said she was a hoe. Okay, so people be trying to change definitions. You cannot change definitions. You're doing sex work. It says this is associated with mental health challenges. Creators are likely to internalize the stigma associated with sex work, leading to loneliness and poor mental well being. This stigma can permeate the creators' everyday lives, exacerbating symptoms of anxiety and depression. So the thing is, in most cases, a lot of times these issues were already present, and doing this is probably will open doors to make it worse. Don't mean it's always going to, but it can open the door for that. And that's what people fail to realize. And then it says the third one is lack of control over content. A significant portion of OnlyFans content creators feel they have little control over their content, with some even being managed by traffickers. This lack of control can lead to negative mental health consequences such as anxiety, depression, shame, fear, and low self-esteem. You know,
Whoa.
this, yeah. And this
I
is,
that was new to me.
you learn something new every day, right?
I knew that some OnlyFans creators have managers. I think I had seen like a video on TikTok or something like that. Somebody was talking about like her manager manages like four different people or something along those lines. That was I didn't realize that was a thing, but when you kind of think about it, that makes sense because a lot of personalities or influencers they do have you know managers. So if they're making bank, let's just say 10K a month, why not? So that makes sense. But the tracking is crazy. I That's new. That's new to me.
I wouldn't be surprised. And that's the thing, though. And here's the thing, though, that because I want people to understand, like, people will do anything for money and shame. And I want to speak on that whole shame thing because you may get the bag, but you still shame and you kind of like thugging yourself out. Not saying there's people that don't love stripping, but there are some strippers who really have to be drunk to push themselves through that because they are shamed. And even with the OnlyFans thing, a lot of cases, especially with men, and we talking about men, women, we gonna leave them alone, but men, in a lot of these cases, I feel like you'll do anything for a dollar. Somebody I seen on Twitter had made a post and said like it was a guy, and he was like he was just tweeting and he was just like, and I saw the page because I used to follow him on Twitter. This was back in the day, but I saw he changed his Twitter into like a porn account, so obviously I had to unfollow him. And he tweeted because I'm like, what he talking about? He had tweeted talking about some get out my DMs unless you talk. If you ain't talking about no money, get out my DMs. And I'm like, it sounded very, I mean, I hate to say it did kind of sound kind of sassy a little bit because it just, that sounded like something a girl would say. Like, not saying it's okay for a girl to be a prostitute before a man, but it is more common. But what I'm saying is, I think we've taken gender neutral to the extreme. And it's just like this big extreme where if men can do it, women can do it, women can do it, men can do it. And there are certain things that only men and women should be able to do. Now I know what you might be trying to say. Are you trying to say only women should be sex workers? No, nobody really should be, technically. But it makes sense for a woman to be ranting and raving and yelling at people to send them money, or don't talk to me unless you in my OnlyFans. I don't feel as a man you should be saying that. Even if you think it, I don't feel like you should publicly be saying that confident.
Why not? Why not though? He's just trying to stand on his business. He's just trying to let people know if that's his account for that stuff. You know what? I'm letting everybody know I'm here for business purposes only. So if you're not talking money, I don't want to talk. What's wrong? What's wrong with that? Even if it's sassy.
Huh?
Even if it's sassy.
Even if it's, and like I said, it is what it is. Everybody got a little sass to them to an extent, right? But the issue that I think that goes with it, see, I knew this was gonna happen. The issue that I have with it is this. You basically telling me, you're not telling me, you just telling the people, because you create the content. One, I'm not gonna say you stupid, but you're a little foolish, because if you're posting porn, why wouldn't you think somebody is gonna DM you? I get what you're saying, where you trying to say, hey, this is a business, but what do you expect? People are gonna, if you're posting porn, because subconsciously people think you easy, and people think you'll do anything, because in most cases, especially if you're a dude do OnlyFans, they probably think, oh, this dude will do anything. So you have women, you'll have anybody hit you up. And then you saying, don't DM me unless you talking money. You bought your money, I'll give you that. But what if you are a content creator, right? Hypothetically, you're a heterosexual male, and a gay male DMs you and says, hey, I'm trying to see something. Here's a band.
I've had that happen.
So you do OnlyFans. This is joke. This is joke. You telling the world you do OnlyFans.
Nah. No, I do not have an OnlyFans account. But I have had guys DM me asking for stuff for money. And I'm just like, nah, you gotta get out of my DMs. Like, nah, I'm good off that.
Now you're a man of morals. But what about, do you not think that that's a lack of morals? See, last time we talked, we were talking about things that was morally correct, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that that's a lack of morals to then be like, I'm not into that, but I'm offended because you're giving me money? Does that mean, don't you think that's a lack of morality if you do anything for money?
I don't think so. I think, well, yes, no. I think it depends on what a person's morals are. And it goes back to the image that I think a person wants to hold. Like I don't want my image to be out there of like just pictures of me floating on the internet. Because once you send a photo or a video to anybody, ain't no telling where it end up. It can end up on a billboard somewhere in New York. Like ain't no telling. So if a person truly doesn't care about the consequences, repercussions, or just like the trickling effect of what happens afterwards after they get the money, then I don't think it has anything to do with morals necessarily, but just the lack of how much they care about what could happen next. Yeah.
Okay. You said, because like you said, it's one thing if some people, like you, we talk about stripping. The difference with stripping is, yeah, people can know you used to be a stripper, but they can't record you. I mean, they can do it on the low, but you know what I mean? With OnlyFans, it's memorialized.
Yeah. True.
So it's a little different. But now I get what you're saying. I get, and again, and you know what, and again, I know we're going to the challenge section in a second, but I give you, you standing on business, telling people get out my DMs unless you talking money, you talking about being productive. And I get it. It's still like you like with us with our podcast. We post content. We gotta stay on time. Like, at 3 we posting this, at 4 we posting that. We got to do this. We got to do that. So it's kind of like a thing of productivity. So now you're a writer. You've written several books, correct?
Correct.
So in your book, Ignore the Fluff, you discuss simplifying goals for increased productivity. How can young adults, especially those in the digital spotlight, balance their ambitions with mental health considerations in today's social media driven world?
Focus on one thing. A lot of people, everybody has multiple goals and ambitions. Let's just be honest. But what happens is, if you're not trained and you haven't developed that skill to be able to be highly productive with more than one thing at the same time, then you'll be not productive at all. So you have to figure out what is something that's so simple that you can do that it does not take a lot of mental load out of you. I'm not even talking about the physical, because your energy can be on multiple levels on any given day, but it's the mental stress of like, now I got to get up and go to the gym. You have the energy to go to the gym in the morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, but you just mentally, you're just like, I ain't trying to do it today. I don't have it in me. So you have to figure out what is going to take the least amount of mental energy from you to be able to get it done. And social media, consuming too much social media in the wrong type of social media will only deplete that mental strength that a person has. Because if we're being honest, a lot of people compare themselves to others, whether they admit it or not, or whether they're doing it subconsciously or consciously. So that only continues to go against them.
All right, good stuff. All right, so let's go to the next section, which is I challenge that. And in this section, we're going to kind of challenge some things that I'm talking about today, just to give both sides of the ball. So now, how do you think individuals can overcome the stigma and prejudice associated with being content creators on platforms like OnlyFans, particularly from a mental health standpoint?
Can you ask that again?
Huh?
Can you ask that one more time?
Well, I'll do the first part. So, how do you think individuals can overcome the stigma and prejudice associated with being content creators on platforms like OnlyFans?
That's a tough question. I think part of me wants to say that they can't, only because there's such deep rooted opinions already. Like, if you see somebody that has an OnlyFans account and you don't know them, your chances are you're going to have you're going to start to formulate some opinion of them without even knowing them. So I think a person would have to show more of their lifestyle, like who they are, their personality, um, how they've grown up, all that type of stuff, and show less of the exclusive content. That way, people get a chance to know you as a person before they see you as a person.
This is the thing. I just think we should be sticky with sending pictures online just in general, even if it's like to somebody you're dating or want to do something with, because it's
For
just,
sure.
you just never know. I think that, especially from a standpoint of OnlyFans and from a mental health standpoint, my view is, and again, I could be wrong. A lot of the times, I want these men, especially, listen to this. If you're a man, if you're a man, you have OnlyFans account. What is your current mental health state like? Like, seriously.
Mhm.
And don't lie to yourself and say, "Oh, it's good, it's good." Is it really? Because a lot of times y'all be fighting demons, and then this the OnlyFans be making it worse. So I want you to really take that into account when you really answer that question.
Now, are you referring to someone that has an OnlyFans account for subscriptions, or as a creator?
As a creator, not really both. Because because that's the thing, the world has normalized a lot of stuff that's not normal. We've normalized porn, and it's really not a problem.
Right.
It's a problem. You know what I'm saying? Whenever you get excited, you want to go look at porn. Whenever you depressed, you want to go look at porn. Every time you get extremely emotional in some area, that's what you want to do. And again, this ain't the porn episode. We're gonna set it for another day. I'm more so talking about but I mean, it's both, but really even the creator aspect. Like, where is your mental health at seriously? And this is my question. And again, this is not to condemn you. This is just for we can make better choices, because like you said, some people may say, and I challenge that. And you said some people may say, well, you got OnlyFans stuff, they're gonna always look at you that way. I believe in redemption. I mean, so I know everyone doesn't, or they pick and choose what they believe can be redeemed, but I do believe in redemption. So
Takes time.
it
It definitely.
does,
You know, I
but
don't know what to say. Yeah.
now let me ask let's do this because we challenging it. We open the door for the
All
conversation.
right.
So first of all, let's ask this: is OnlyFans really hurting anyone? So technically, no, but I believe psychologically, yes. And I'm gonna get to that in a second. And what if a person says, I'm playing with myself on camera to feed my children? I mean, I don't know. It's just, and not saying but it's different with women than men in some cases, because some women use their bodies because it's like, this all I got, this all I can do. Where some men, I feel like it's more so from a pride aspect. Not always, but most cases, I feel like with men doing stuff like that, it's some pride attached to it. It's like a look at me, I look great. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what I'm saying? And even like I said, when you see the storylines behind female strippers and male strippers, like I said, female strippers, you see the movies, you seen the I'm gonna say, what's the show called? Down in the Valley, P Valley, and what's the original one? Players Club. And them type of movies where there's the strippers in there who like, I'm doing this just to pay for school. I hate being here, but I got to do this. And that's typically associated with women. Now, of course, we have some women that are like, look at my body, it's easy money. But most times I feel like with men, they're not usually doing that to, again, not always, but they're not doing that to, oh, I got to pay, I got to feed my kids. That's not the first thing a man is going to think to do as a man, to go to OnlyFans as a thing. It's typically like an extra side hustle or a part of something else. What's your take on that?
I'm thinking the guy that's going to have an OF account is probably going to be the one that's already in the streets a lot. Like he already has a label that like he's a hoe or something like that. And he's like, well, all right, I might as well make money from it. Just pull out a camera and just keep on making money. Um, and those type of guys are typically very prideful. So I can definitely agree with you on that.
As I stated earlier, we already talked about the gender neutral thing, which I'm sorry, men have roles and women have roles. We need got this logic of everything men can do, women can do. That's not the case in everything. Men and women still have different roles. But I will say this, back to the whole you'll do anything for money thing. Them type of people who have that mindset, them type of men that had that mindset when it comes to that, they will sell you. Because ultimately, the OnlyFans thing, you are a salesman to an extent. And I am a firm believer them are the type of dudes who'll do anything to get some money. Because, like I mentioned earlier, if people in your DMs, hey, I seen you this money, like you said, somebody was in your DMs and was like, hey, I seen you some money. Can I see this? Can I see that? And you do it, you'll do anything for money. And then eventually, the bar will keep moving back, and you'll keep on doing this. And maybe say, let me do this, and then let's do this, and let's do this stuff that if they came from the beginning asking this, you wouldn't have did it. But since they eased you into it, you do it. What was that? It was an ex-porn star. I can't think of his name. He had got saved. He got saved. He used to do porn. And he said that's how the porn industry was. They'll keep doing little stuff, and then eventually you look up, you doing stuff you say you'll never do at first when you first got into porn, and now you doing it, and then you just said you'll never do that. It's the same concept.
You know, I had just interviewed a Playboy model on my podcast like 5 weeks ago. I wish I could. I wish we would have had this conversation first because I would have asked some completely different questions. Oh
So what
man.
direction did you go with the conversation?
So it was more so of a how did you overcome the image that you had after you left the industry. How are you building your life now? What are some of the struggles that you're having? Because I interviewed she and her husband, and her husband he was a drug addict and ex-professional snowboarder. So I was interviewing both of them at the same time. So it was really more so of a conversation overcoming like addiction overall, because there's a lot that happens in the porn industry. So I think that could have definitely added to the conversation. But
For
yeah,
sure. No,
that's how the
definitely.
convo went.
No, for sure, for sure. Okay, now, as y'all heard earlier in the inspiration, I mentioned Deuteronomy 28:12 and talking about, the Lord will bless you and bless the works of your hands. When he said he was going to bless the works of your hands, he didn't mean your hands to play with yourself on camera. He meant the things that you create. Because again, if you're there's always a duality to things. I want people to understand. And I really want people who do OnlyFans, if OnlyFans men watch this, I want them to do this. And some people say, well, I can do both. But I really challenge you doing that. There's a duality. You can create excellent content on OnlyFans. You can create excellent content on YouTube. You can create excellent content on TikTok. You're a content creator. So you know how to play with stuff and get the engagement and say, you know what I'm saying? Especially if you're making real big money from it. Now, the other side might not be quick money, but are you really willing, okay, to just do this stuff in the long run? That's my thing. And if you can sit here and say, yeah, I don't care, I'll make good money, it is what it is, then cool. But I just want to challenge that narrative. And I really want you to think about that for real, because, and I'm going to give you some tips in a minute, but if you can make money like that over here, you can make it better over here, and you don't have to. Although, like you said, and that's I'm glad you said it, because you say we have to say, what does that person consider morally correct? Because everyone's morals is different. But in the same breath, you cannot tell me are you really inside and okay with doing it as really anybody. But again, we talking to the men as a man, you really okay with doing that on camera? And if you don't care, that I believe you're numb and there's some trauma there. I believe that.
I wish we had somebody to unpack that with. I think there are some people that just truly don't care, and they maybe don't have any trauma behind that. I
And you're
think
right.
it just depends on a person's confidence. I think it all boils down to confidence.
But I still have to ask, why are you numb to that?
Mm.
Because there's a reason why. You know what I mean? That's not normal to be numb to that. You know what I mean? It's not normal to be numb to doing those types of things on camera. That's not normal. We've normalized it, but it's not normal. So keep that in mind. All right. And please let me know what y'all think. I'm sure somebody not gonna like this conversation. But again, it's like Monique, I love us for real. But we gotta do better. All right, y'all. Let's go to the next segment, which is the weekly sabbatical. So now you work with the creatives and you do all those things. Tell us about your two podcasts, because I know you have two podcasts.
Yeah, so the first one, it's called Execute the Secrets to Fast Success. I started that one based on my book, titled the same exact thing. No direction, had no idea what I was doing. Just put out a microphone and just started recording motivational stuff. It really wasn't, I got burnt out doing that because I realized I don't want to put on the persona of a motivational speaker that's like always trying to hype people up. But I realized that I became more motivational in just being myself and just telling stories and just telling truth. And I didn't need to be that hype person. And so from there, I started interviewing people, how they were able to create success for themselves, and defining what that level of success is, because success to you may be different to success to me. So just having a conversation of like success doesn't always have to be money. And that was one thing that I really wanted to get out to all my guests was, what that level is. And a lot of people, everybody said that success at one point to them was money, but now it's not. My second podcast, Verified Phenoms, is a podcast I just started at the end of last year. And so that podcast is speaking with people that are high level professionals. I've been interviewing a lot of CEOs, founders, or just maybe C-suite people, and so just trying to figure out, and also getting into interviewing content creators as well, but figuring out how did they overcome those things I was speaking about earlier, like imposter syndrome, perfectionism, overthinking, stuff like that, to get to the level that they're at. Because everybody's dealt with those three things before in their lives at one point. So just figuring out how they, when they met that challenge, what they did to get past it, and are they still dealing with it?
Okay, good stuff. So now, in your experience, how can creatives and influencers balance their artistic expression and career goals while staying sane? How did you do it?
Create, create when you feel moved and not when somebody tells you to. Because art in any form cannot be forced. You can, yes, force it to, let's just say, if you do a podcast every single day, you will get better at it. But the days that you feel moved, those are going to be the really good episodes because you can kind of feel the passion behind it. So you can't always force your art, but you can put yourself in a pattern to be able to consistently improve it. But also the days that you feel moved, make sure you go all in on those days, because art is something that needs time to regenerate. That creative flow in your body, in your soul, in your mind. That you don't have that every single day. That's just, it's not possible. So you need to be able to take advantage of those days where you're flowing and take time to relax and rest. A lot of my best ideas come when I'm doing nothing, playing video game, on a walk, something like that. So make sure you take time to do nothing as well.
Now, as a life coach, because it's what you do, and what advice would you give to young men who are content creators on platforms like OnlyFans in terms of maintaining their mental health and personal boundaries? Because ultimately, no matter what I say, people gonna still do the OnlyFans. It's some people who gonna be, and you gonna do it. So, what would be your take to men in that space?
I would tell them something I would tell just anybody in general as a content creator is make sure you take time to reflect on a weekly basis about how you're feeling emotionally, mentally, and physically. And over time, you will start to notice any type of patterns as you start to do those reflections. And after a certain amount of time, let's just say 2 months, 3 months, you should have enough data to be able to look back and see what type of cycles of feelings and emotions that you're going through, physical things that you're doing. And within that, you can be able to be like, okay, something isn't right here. I don't like how I'm approaching this. I don't like how I'm always constantly feeling this way. I need to make a change. So the self reflection has to be key, because without self reflection, you will never necessarily know how you're doing and in what way you're progressing or regressing.
And like I said, people gonna do what they want, but I just want you to sit here and really say, why am I doing this? Besides the money. And obviously the money might be good, but really sit here and say and get it and really sit here and just wonder, like, how do I feel mentally doing this? Do I feel dirty? Do I feel, do I have to try to get real drunk before I do it? Because if you got to get real drunk before you do stuff, 9 times out of 10 you shouldn't be doing it. Or if you got to get high to do it, you know what I mean? If you got to be under some influence, really just, I'm telling you, just unpack and pay attention to why you're doing the things you're doing. And hell, even if you say you know you ain't supposed to be doing it, but I'm gonna meet this certain mark of money and I'm gonna leave, then do that. But don't say, okay, let me make a little more, let me get a little more, because then it's just, that's when greed come in, and that's another issue, which a lot of times this issue is, especially with men. It's greed. It's greed, it's pride, everything. All them demons is cousins, so they all linking up together at the family reunion. Your body is the family reunion. Your body is the host of the family reunion. So they all linking up with you. It's just so many things. It's mammon, because you know that money, you just obsessed to the money, and society pushes sex and money.
Hmm.
especially with dudes. Where, like I said, a girl will get shamed, but in my opinion, I feel like dudes should be more shamed. I do.
Would you what about I don't know if there's a website for it, but what if there was like OnlyFans for just hands? Because
You're
there are
not
hand models.
naked.
Yeah, it's
Right, right,
just hands. You just see my hands.
right. You're not naked, but you're still engaging in porn. And you say, well, I'm not naked, but people are sexually aroused by that. So you're still feeding into someone's fantasy.
But if you can't help what makes somebody aroused? Like a person can be wearing clothes and somebody still be aroused by
Right,
the
because
appearance of them.
right, because what you're saying is people's perverts still gonna pervert. Absolutely. But if you're feeding into that lustful thing, you're feeding into it for money, you gotta be you're gonna be held accountable. Like if you post a picture and you like this and somebody lusting after you, that's nothing you can do. But it's the same thing with them thirst traps where you get on your story and you post a picture, you want somebody to look. You know what I mean? You know what you're doing. We've done it before. We've all done it before. But you know.
Yeah,
So then
I see what you mean. I see what you mean. I see. Okay, I see.
but then even me, I'll just put myself, I argue myself again. You say, well, if you've done it, okay. I've had thirst. Well, yeah, I guess everybody didn't thirst trap before, right?
At
To
least
an
once.
extent.
At least once. Come
At
on.
least once.
We were feeling ourselves and we put it
Yeah,
on.
you was feeling yourself. And that's the thing I won't tell people. You can love yourself and how you look without selling yourself sexually. Because you can do which I don't want to get ahead of myself, but you can do modeling. You know what I'm saying? It's so many things you can do to make money based on how you look. That's not porn. You want everybody to have seen you laying it low, spreading it wide. Remember, women, this ain't at you today. This at the dudes. Again, it ain't okay, but it makes sense for a woman to be, look at me. A dude is kind of like, what's going on there? I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to wonder. I just believe it's something else there in most cases. With women too, a lot of times, but a lot of times with men too, it's something else there. And even earlier in the episode, we talked about a lot of people who subscribe to OnlyFans are married men. That's a problem in itself. You got in-house.
That's a lot to unpack right there.
We're gonna have to get to that at some point. This ain't the day, but we'll maybe look. This is the season finale. Maybe season 8 we'll get there. But again, as I brought up earlier, the main thing I believe is a lot of people want to express themselves and make money, and maybe they are doing it the right way, but it ain't came yet. But I want to let you know it's gonna come eventually. You just got to stick to it. But for those young content creators seeking healthy and creative ways to express themselves and potentially monetize their talents, following these 4 methods draw from a few different places, and I want to go there. So the first 3 are from Influencer Marketing Hub. The first one is online teaching. According to Influencer Marketing Hub, one lucrative and fulfilling way to express creativity is through online teaching. Platforms like Skillshare, Udemy, and Teachable allows creators to share their expertise and skills, potentially earning up to $100K annually. This avenue not only provides financial benefits, but also establishes creators as an authoritative figure in their field, attracting more engaged followers. So that's one.
I've done
Consulting services. Huh?
I've done one of those. I have a Teachable account.
Okay. Did you get good money from it?
It got my bills paid.
Okay.
So if we consider that good money, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Consulting services for those who prefer a more personalized approach, providing one-on-one consulting services can be a rewarding option. This allows creators to share their skills and strategies with aspiring content creators or review their portfolios. Consulting offers both financial gains and a break from the regular content creating process, especially useful during periods like writer's block. Okay, and if you feel free to add if you want to add something else. The third one is selling exclusive content. So Creating exclusive content for platforms like Patreon can be an effective marketing strategy. This approach involves offering paid memberships in return for unique content tailored for subscribers. It provides financial stability and allows creators to cater to their target audience specific interests without conforming to popular taste. So I know this one guy, he sells his plant-based smoothie recipes and his plant-based diets recipes. So, to Phil Kofer, you know what that is?
No, I don't.
He he's a YouTuber, but he's a plant-based person, and I know he sells his plant-based stuff via Patreon. So,
I'm
he
about
has
to
a big.
start selling some exclusive content. Not like the exclusive content that we've been talking about all day today. But yeah, these are all definitely ways a person can monetize as a content creator.
So, yes, this is the new year. Is that what you plan on doing in this new year?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Anything you want to share? It's all got to just wait till we see it.
It's going to be exclusive content for the VP community. Like I was saying within the Verify Phenoms podcast, it's going to be for those creators. So I actually will give you. I'm gonna give you a game once we get off.
Okay, bet. And then the last one, which is exploring diverse creative outlets. According to Silk Sonder, engaging in various creative activities like learning a musical instrument, trying pottery, designing a website, creating, writing, coding, starting a podcast, learning a new language, photography, or flower arranging can enhance mental health and spark creativity. These activities serve as healthy outlets for expression beyond the digital realm, potentially opening new avenues for personal and professional growth. So, y'all got some stuff y'all can do. You know what I mean? And just as in ways, and again, I get that good money, that fast money, but compare OnlyFans to scamming and to the drug game. They fast money, and it may be easy for some people, but your day gonna come. And so, although technically OnlyFans is not illegal, your day may come where maybe you want to get married as a dude, and your wife you love your life like you had an OnlyFans account. And don't get it twisted, it might be people who are okay with that in your past, but currently doing it, it's just and not even just worrying about that. It's just a lot of hurdles that come with that, and but jobs. I mean, unless you're just a full-time YouTuber and stuff, but also keep in mind it's people who wanted to be actors, and most of these porn stars, when they tell about being in porn, they always talk about they wanted to be actors and being in Hollywood, and they got down the porn lane. Do you think they can be in Hollywood now as a regular actor? So keep that in mind. That's all I got to say. I want y'all to, when we getting a little deep on this final episode of the season.
Yeah, I
So
gotta ask you a question real quick.
go ahead.
What are some of the things you've done for some quick money?
That was illegal or just that was
We're gonna stay with legal. We're gonna stay with legal.
legal or illegal?
Legal.
Um, P.S.A, the ghostwriting solution. We can do all of your things, you know, under the table, which is legal, but you won't you won't have to give me credit for it if you allow me, because with our new premium package that creates podcast scripts for those in the wellness and mental health space. That includes health and fitness, mental health, self-improvement, self-development, anything that has to do with the wellness space, and you need podcast scripts done, hit us up at PSA thepodcast.com or the prodigy perspective at gmail.com.
Give me one more thing that you've done over the last 5 years that you needed something, maybe like a quick $200, and you're like, yeah, I know I can do this.
I may or may have not scammed. Maybe. But guess what I did though? If I did do it, I wouldn't have kept on doing it.
Mm. Okay.
Even though we're gonna talk about it off camera. But yeah, but we're gonna talk. Okay.
Okay. We've all done something. I was on Craigslist for a little bit.
Doing what?
Anything that was up there.
Oh, okay.
Listen, don't put it past Craigslist. There's some jobs up there that can get you some day of money. Go clean some gutters. Go help somebody move. There's stuff on Craigslist. It changes every day.
All right, y'all. So now let's get into the final segment, game time. And this game time is called Only This or Only That. And I'm gonna ask you a few questions. I want you to tell me only would you choose this or that out of the two things I would do. All right. If you had to do it, all right.
All right.
Sell content on Patreon or sell content on Teachable.
Teachable.
Okay.
Done it.
Huh?
Sorry. I was like, I've done that before. So teachable.
Okay. Make money from podcasts, gonna make money from motivational speaking.
Podcasting.
All right. Selling food plates or selling food plates or selling premium libation drinks.
Food plates. Get somebody's hunger satisfied.
Then to get in that liquor. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yelling at people on TikTok or dancing on TikTok.
Definitely dancing. It would be a huge embarrassment, but I'm gonna go with dancing because I can't stand when I come across I Show Speed's video, him just yelling at people. So definitely dancing.
All right. And OnlyFans or Craigslist.
Craigslist for sure. It's got me through it. Got some bills paid.
All right, y'all. Okay, so let's end up with the final question or challenge for the year. All right. Well, for the season. So what is your take on men having OnlyFans or being a man with an OnlyFans? And then would you be okay with your man having one, or would you as a man ever have one? All right, let me know what y'all think. Remember, y'all can win y'all last little bit of money before the season ends. So I'm about to open this up and take a shot of my tequila alternative. But before I do that, it smells like liquor too. But before I do that, I just want to say season 7 has been great. The best views numbers that I've had thus far. And I know I'm only gonna keep rising. Thank you, sir. We'll be off for a few weeks, but be back, I think, January 22nd, and we'll do with the live streams every Monday up until season 8, which is slated to premiere, I'm thinking early April, late March. I haven't decided yet. So before we go, what's one goal you have for the new year? Because I'm gonna give mine just one that you don't mind sharing.
Oh, okay. I want to do stand-up comedy.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I want to do.
Okay. My goal for this new year is to make 10K a month.
Oh, hey. We'll talk when we get off.
All right, so let me get my shot together. I ain't got no shot glass. It's not. I'm gonna just kind of ching it to the bottle. So, you got anything to ching with?
No, why didn't you tell me? I normally have.
I wasn't thinking about it. I wouldn't think about it until now.
Hey, I got a bottle of lotion. That's close as I got for you.
OnlyFans, but okay. So we're gonna say cheers to the new year, to the close of season 7, and more life to everybody watching. Thank y'all for tuning in. This has been a great season. I'm thrilled to see what's gonna happen next, and that's all I got. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for doing this, having this conversation with us. It was definitely a bunch of laughs, but it was definitely more insightful than I realized it was gonna be. So that was good. And it's always so. As always, y'all, for the last time for season 7, P.S.A. signing out. Always remember, keep your head up like your neck hurt. Remember who you are. Make your mind up. Don't let it make you. And guess what? Despite how you may feel about me, I love us for real. Cheers.